Hey y'all,
Hey y'all.
What's up? This is El Presidente.
this is
You
your boy, gospel icon, my Harold Peoples Jr.
It's Lady, also known as Leah, and you're now watching.
And you're listening to Speaking Plain
in
English.
the Speaking Plain English with your host Roberta.
Your beautiful hostess, Roberta Johnson.
With my homegirl, Roberta, on Praise.fm.
On Praise FM.
On Praise FM.
Hey, hello, happy Saturday, and welcome to another episode of Speaking Plain English. As always, I am your host, Roberta, and I just want to thank everybody who has tuned in. You guys, I just want y'all to get in here. We are going to have an absolutely awesome topic today. We've got a great guest, and before we do all of that, you already know how we're going to do it. I want to welcome all of our viewers from Praise FM. I want to welcome YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Roberta's Recommendations, everybody who's here, who's watching. I want to welcome all of our audio-only listeners, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all of y'all. I want to thank you guys for spending your Saturday afternoon with us. I would love for you to, first of all, say hello back. You know, if somebody says, at least I was raised when someone speaks to you, you say hello back. So come on in and say hello. Let us know you're here. Also, I would love for you guys to like and subscribe and to share because, as I always say, you never know who it is that I may not know and I may not be able to reach that you do that can use the information that is being given on our show. So, and of course, all the media numbers and all of that stuff, but that's secondary. So, before we get into, before I bring our guests on, before we do the introduction, I do want to do over our announcements. As always, if you are a Black author, artist, or business owner, and you would love to be a guest on our show, please reach out, and we'll see what we can do to get you on. If you have a topic that you would like to discuss, if you have a product, if you have an event, if you have a service or something that you would like to either advertise or talk about while we're here, we're open to it. I would love to have you. I would love to talk to you about it. So let's get you on, okay? Also, if you have, if there's anybody who has any shout outs, if you want to, shout anybody out for a Earth Entry anniversary, as I call it, which is a birthday, graduation, business starting, all of those wonderful things, let us know. And that way we can get something nice and special for you to shout them out. Because sometimes people just want to know that they're being celebrated. I also would like to say congratulations to all of our 2024 graduates from pre-K, nursery school on up to, doctorate degrees. If you are, whatever it is that you have graduated from, if it's a DARE program, if it's an AA program, whatever it is that you graduated from, we congratulate you and we celebrate you. All birthdays this week. I would love to tell you guys happy Earth Entry anniversary to all of you. And we have, hi mama, always the first one here. My mom is always the first one here. Hey mom, yeah, trying to stay cool. Because this heat has been absolutely ridiculous. Another announcement for those of you who are in the New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or even if, anywhere surrounding, if you are an independent gospel or inspirational artist, we are putting together Praise Fest. And if you would like to be a part of it, submit you can send me a DM and you can submit your name and information, and we'll send you a form so that you can, submit an inquiry. Also, if you are a vendor or if you are a sponsor, if you would like to be a sponsor for our event, let us know. Reach out to us, and that way we can, get this thing going. It's going to absolutely be amazing. It's going to be amazing. I thought it was going to be in October, but it looks like we're going to actually do it in September. So there's going to be more information coming about that, but you can kind of get your inquiries in while we wait, okay? Or while we're getting everything together. So I told y'all last week that I would be having more information about it and having more solidified information. Almost there. All right. So before I bring my guest on, I'm going to read his bio, and then we're going to bring him on, and we're going to get started, all right? So our guest today, his name is Pascal Germain, also known as Mr. G. Mr. G is the visionary founder of MasterMine and MasterMine University, with a remarkable journey that underscores his commitment to education, community empowerment, and promoting positive representation of Black excellence. Born in Haiti, Mr. G immigrated to the United States at the age of 5, eventually settling in Long Island, New York. His passion for athletics emerged early on as he excelled in track from middle school through high school. I knew there was something missing. I don't have my glasses on. Mr. G continued his academic pursuits at Long Island University, aka LIU, where he made history as the first recipient of the Student Teacher of the Year Award in Health and Physical Education. As a certified kindergarten through 12th grade teacher with over 11 years of experience, Mr. G has made significant contributions to education. He spent 3 years teaching in the South Bronx, where he not only developed curriculum, but also provided training for fellow educators in health and physical education. Currently, Mr. G teaches health at the middle school and high school levels in Long Island, where he spearheads various programs aimed at enriching the school community. His initiatives include career exploration, gaming, and fitness programs, film studies, and boys' roundtable talks, which focus on imparting emotional intelligence and decision-making skills to young men. And that is extremely important. Additionally, Mr. G coaches cross-county and track at the middle school level and organizes the school's career day, attracting over 50 professionals to inspire students and broaden their horizons. Driven by a deep sense of purpose, Mr. G launched MasterMine as a response to the negative portrayals of Black culture prevalent in mainstream media. Through MasterMine, he seeks to cultivate a directory of Black excellence, serving as a beacon of excellence, motivation, and inspiration for Black individuals striving for excellence and self-mastery. His unwavering dedication to uplifting his community and reshaping societal narratives underscores his role as a transformative leader in education and advocacy. So without further ado, we are bringing to the stage Pascal Germain, aka Mr. G. Hello.
Thank you for having me.
This is awesome. This is so awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us and talk with us and, help us to get a little bit more about you and what you're doing. First, I do want to tell you that I am very, very excited. I'm very excited about what it is that you're about. Everybody who wants to know, y'all talk to you in a minute. I'm just excited about what you're doing. So let's just drive in. Anything, if there's anything that we missed out of your bio, tell us a little bit more about you.
Okay, so I'll just share my philosophy and a little bit about me so that viewers, listeners can understand, what I'm doing a little bit. I'm not sure if it makes a ton of sense. So pretty much, like you mentioned, I came here when I was 5 from Haiti, and going into the school system, I was dealing with a lot of things that were kind of subconscious. Like I realized that I wasn't really interested in school pretty much starting at middle school. I think school was interesting to me in elementary school, and then middle school into high school. Like it really just, I don't know. I became really disinterested in it, except PE, health, of course, and sports. High school, I had a sports marketing class that I was interested in because the teacher was pretty cool. Outside of that, a lot of my high school, middle school experience was literally my head nodding back and forth, falling asleep, really disengaged and not interested. I remember one time, I'm doing that, and my math teacher was like screaming at me and like, "What are you doing?" Da, da, da. And I'm just like, "Well, when am I ever gonna use this in life? Like, I don't need this,"
Mm.
kind of thing. And I wasn't a disrespectful kid, but it was just really I was disinterested. One thing that piqued my interest, I used to play ball at the park with somebody in my neighborhood, and they were a physical therapist. And I realized, they had a nice car, they had girls, they was making good money, and I was like, yo, I want to do that. So I spoke with him. As I'm aiming towards graduating towards high school, like my senior year. I spoke to him, and he's like, yo, just get your degree, and my job is pretty easy. I just say, does this hurt? Does that hurt? Da da da, and give people what they need. And it's pretty simple. Da da da, and it just seemed like easy to me. I'm just like, yo, that sounds great. Let me do that. So I go to school, imagining of doing physical therapy, and I wasn't aware that physical therapy you needed a master's degree. So I had to do something for my bachelor's degree, and I thought that PE and health would kind of interconnect with physical therapy. So I start that program, and with the sights of becoming a physical therapist. And when you do education, you got to go into classrooms, you got to observe, you got to student teach and everything. And one thing that I saw was when I was going into schools, like I was like a celebrity in the schools to the kids, and everybody would
Wow.
gravitate towards me. And I didn't understand it at first. I just thought I was a pretty cool dude. But what I realized was that a lot of the kids were like, "Yo, you're the first black male teacher that we've seen. Like, I've never had a black male teacher." And I didn't know the numbers and the data, so I was just like, "That's really interesting." Like, so as I started researching, I realized that black male teachers only make up 1.3% of the teaching population in the United States. So
Wow.
I was pretty much a unicorn to these kids, and they never seen it before. So they were very, very interested, and they engaged with me very differently. So they kind of were pulling on my heartstrings, because now I'm like, should I chase this physical therapy thing or chase this education thing? Because I see like some purpose here, and a way of making a difference. And people say, well, education, you're not going to make that much money, this and that and the third. So it was really a difficult decision kind of to make. But I felt like it was something that I could be happy with every day. And one of the things I remember growing up as a kid, like watching adults, like a lot of the adults that I watch, including teachers, like they weren't really happy with their jobs and what they were doing. And I always remember telling myself, like, yo, whatever I do, I'm gonna be happy with it. I'm gonna wake up every day and be excited to do it. I don't know
Yes.
what it's gonna be, but whatever it is, I'm gonna be happy. So I remember how good I felt just student teaching and working with children and stuff like that. And then that need, feeling like you're needed, was very important. So I decided to stick with education, and definitely a great decision. I don't regret it. But when you're in the school system and you're in the system, you kind of realize a lot of the things that you didn't learn in class and you weren't taught, or things that impacted you that you didn't even realize, like in
Mm.
school. So fast forwarding like 12 years later, teaching thousands of kids, being at a number of schools, and then researching and reading and talking to people, and learning things on myself, I kind of developed my own kind of philosophy. And I realized that kids suffer, especially our kids, black children, suffer from an inferiority complex, and it goes into adulthood. So pretty much,
Wow.
there was a paper and a doll test that was done by Dr. Kenneth and Mamie Clark. They were the first doctorates of psychology at Columbia University, and they conducted a study with black children to kind of see, what they would prefer in regards to a white doll versus a black doll. So they would ask them, which doll do you think is smarter?
Mm.
Majority would choose the white doll. Which doll do you think is pretty? Majority would choose the white doll. Which doll would you want to be your friend? Majority would choose the white doll. Which doll is ugly? Majority would choose the black doll. Which doll do you think is stupid? Majority would choose the black doll. So they started seeing that there was this complex amongst these children, even before school age, in which they, saw themselves in an unfavorable light, and saw other cultures and other groups, specifically white groups, as something to want to achieve, to strive towards. So looking into that, and then looking into school, Now, when they get to school, the inferiority complex is magnified because you get into school now and you're sitting in social studies, and what you're learning is that all the people that have made a historical impact do
Mm-hmm.
not look like you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
all the people that have done great things do not look like you. As a matter of fact, you're mentioned when it comes to slavery, right? So you were slaves, right? And when it comes to fighting for the right to be looked at as a human being, so the civil rights movement is pretty much what we get: slavery and the civil rights movement. So that adds on to it, right? So you move from history, social studies to science, and you learn that the greatest inventors, innovators, scientists of mankind are all white, and they're the ones that develop these things that we use today, and these theories and practices that mean the world to us today. And there was no space with black people, right? And I'm not talking about minority like schools, but majority schools. This is what the curriculum looks like. So you move on to math, you learn about mathematicians and the math and the science and the data with that. Most mathematicians were white, and so again, the inferiority complex is building based off of what you're learning. And obviously we don't know because it's subconscious and it's the norm. So whiteness in education is the norm. So we learn that. So as you move on to math, you go to English, you learn the greatest writers and of our time, the Shakespeare's, all these people, were white, right? So, black authors, we didn't do anything special, like, because they're not read in the English class, right? So our kids become disinterested in reading and things like that because they don't see themselves. And I'm just saying that because I was a part of that. So I think that's what really disconnected me to education. And then, after the kids graduate and things like that, that inferiority complex is built in, and it conditions them into adulthood. And then when we look at goal setting, life goals, and things like that, instead of looking at the highest possible things that we can achieve, we settle for bare minimum because these are the things that have been ingrained in us from pretty much birth, right? So, with this in mind, this is kind of like what developed into my philosophy, observing a lot of these things, which I think that as Black people we need to be deprogrammed and reprogrammed. Deprogrammed in the condition of that Black people can't do this, or Black people are not as, or whatever it is, and to deprogram them into a sense of we are able to do these things. There's excellence in us in history and mathematics and science and all these other subjects, and I think it's super important for our kids to understand that. And I think when they get that, they become a different kid, and by the time they leave high school, they have a different level of confidence, because a lot of these things also build in low self-esteem, right? So when you're learning all these things and you're looking at people that are not like you, and you see that you were slaves and you were fighting for human rights, and that's all you did, it subconsciously, I think, creates a level of low self-esteem. So I think it's important to instill that within the kids from a young age into high school and even beyond that. So that's part of the deprogramming. And the reprogramming is inserting things of self-confidence, things that where they see other people that look like them doing amazing things, which we all do. And it's, I think, super important that we show that to our kids. And giving them affirmations and things like that, that is going to help excel their mind and things like that. So I actually wrote an affirmation a couple of days ago. And yeah, so I think this is like kind of how we should be thinking. So the affirmation is: no one is better than me, and I am better than no one. If I
Mm.
strive for greatness and excellence, I can achieve all that I can conceive, all that I can achieve, all that I can conceive. I can be comfortable being the most important thing of all, and that is being me. So I
I
think
like
that,
that.
yeah. So I'll just read it again because I said a little bit, but
It's
no
okay.
one is better than me. No one is better than me, and I am better than no one. If I strive for greatness and excellence, I can achieve all that I can conceive, and I can be comfortable being the most important thing of all, being me.
Mm.
Right. So I think that kind of concludes the philosophy that I was just talking about.
That's beautiful, honestly. Thank you for that. Was a lot to chew on, but honestly, I'm so glad that you went into everything that you mentioned, because it's absolutely it's definitely true how most Black students are not just Black students, but Black kids in general, Black people in general have been looked at as inferior, and how we've been, raised in, in schools that we are not as good at, or we're not capable of being as good as our white counterparts. And that is so far from the truth. So, and I understand, I mentioned this in a, for those who are watching, I've mentioned this in a previous episode, how I actually went from I was born in I was just telling Mr. G this behind the scenes or backstage, how I was born in Long Island City. I went to school in Long Island City from kindergarten up until second grade, till kindergarten to first grade, pre-K. I don't think we have pre-K. Anyway, up until like first and second grade. Then I went to the Bronx school in Parkchester from second and third grade. And then fourth grade, I moved up to Ulster County, which is upstate New York, which is predominantly white. And when I tell you, not only was the curriculum a lot more advanced, was it more difficult, I guess you can say, but it was, I shouldn't even say it was more difficult. What I'll say is the standard was higher. And the reason why I say that is because the things that were being reviewed in the beginning of the year, I will never forget my teacher. I'll never forget him. But my fourth grade teacher would literally, white male, would make fun of me in front of the entire class, because I didn't know the things that they were reviewing. So that, first of all, they were reviewing stuff, to make sure to recondition and make sure that, the things that they learned or they finished with the year before, that it was a refresher for me, and I was just learning it. And so because I didn't know what it is that they were reviewing, I mean, he made fun of me. He called me all kinds of names. He was like, I was I was entertainment of the class, and according to him. So between that and then as I got older, I lived in the Bronx for a little bit. I had a daughter. She was in pre-K. She was in pre-K, but we were going to move. And again, I mentioned this before. We were going to move to Westchester County. So before we moved, the school didn't know that we were going to move. But my daughter, the school that my daughter went to, they were, recommending that we, test her for the gifted and talented program. So instead of me doing that, I was actually looking to do that up where we were planning on moving, so that I can try to get her into a gifted and talented program there. And to my surprise, I couldn't find a gifted and talented program. And then I recognized, it brought back to my memory what happened when I was a kid. So it helped me understand, oh, there's no gifted and talented program up here, because what they consider gifted and talented in the boroughs, which is the urban community where most of the Black and brown people are, is considered special. It's what's considered special there is the standard up north, where the predominantly white schools are. So the fact that is so blatant, how in order for you to really understand, because what they don't expect is for us to get out of those neighborhoods. That's the part that I don't think that they're even thinking about, because it's obvious. Once you move out of what they call the urban neighborhoods, they decide that they want to, everything is different. So that in itself is a whole thing. But what I love about what you were saying is how the interest that you had, first of all, was not necessarily in what was being taught, and how we don't necessarily think about the idea that you're right. When it comes to history, when it comes to social studies, when it comes to all of the, even math and everything that we're being taught as far as who's great and who is okay, or, it's mostly white people. Like, they don't talk about, they don't like, oh, and we get a month, by the way, let's not forget that. We get to have a month of where we are, where certain people are being highlighted. I'll put it like that. There's your Martin Luther King, there's your Rosa Parks, there's just now starting to actually add on other people. But it's important to understand that Black history is history, flat out. And there actually shouldn't be, if I'll put it like, I'll even go as far as to say this. If they included Black history in the regular history, in American history, in history in general, we wouldn't necessarily have. First of all, we wouldn't have to fight so much. We wouldn't have to feel as if we are inferior, because that. But at the end of the day, as I'm getting older and we're starting to understand exactly how this country is built and what it's about, we have to do things like this, like have our own, we have to fight harder. We have to make sure that we're doing things to make sure to counteract because the public schools are trying to make our kids feel inferior. The public schools are trying to say that, oh, all of these people are doing all of these great things. Yes, that's true. They have the great things, but we are amongst them as well. So don't make it seem like we're not capable as well. We're just as great. Just as great. So thank you so much for pointing all of that out. So while we've already almost gone through quarter of the time. So let me ask you this: where did you come up with the name for your brand?
It's a good question. So the brand started in 2020 during the pandemic, and actually had time to like think a little bit because I do a lot of things at my school, and I'm a parent, and we're all busy. So pandemic gave me some time to really reflect and think and stuff like that. And I've always been irritated at the way that Black people have been perceived in the media, and popular books and just everything. And I've always thought about just a positive space where these things wouldn't be present. I just never found it. You know what I mean? So, and I know I wanted my kids to have a positive space where they didn't have to see blackface pretty much on the media all the time and see these notions of us that were not true. And believe in that, where they can have something else as an alternative to where this is what we really about. So that's how it kind of started popping into my head. And when I thought about it, I started reaching out to some of my friends that were business owners, and I asked them like, how'd you guys come up with your business name, and all these things, and how'd you come up with these unique names? And a lot of the feedback was just like, yo, just take a long time and reflect. And obviously a lot of people have businesses and things like that, but you want yours to be unique, so just reflect on a unique name and something that not only means something to you. This is a good advice one of my friends gave me, but will mean something to other people, so that it's not just a personal brand, but it is our brand. And that really had me thinking. So I was thinking for like probably a week and coming up with some different things. And what popped in, explaining what I just told you about the Black people earlier, was MasterMine. And there's different ways that mastermind can be interpreted. So a mastermind is a group of people that have similar interest and purpose that come together and do constructive things together and plan and stuff like that. So that was a big thing for me. And then somebody who is a mastermind themselves is somebody who's highly intellectual and just unique within what they do. So that was important. And one of the things I wanted to do is take that D out of the word and put an E. So when people think about it, they think about themselves. So mastermind is about self-mastery and mastering who you are. And I think that a lot of society takes us away from who we are. And even when I talked about the educational system and our learning systems don't really involve learning about us. And I think that self is the most important subject in the history of man, and if you master the self, then all other subjects become easier to master. And I think that's the first place to start. So mastermind to me just was infused in all the principles that I believed in when it came to self-mastery, coming together and solving issues, and coming up with ideas and things like that. So when I thought about it, it just really made me excited. And I knew that this was the name that I wanted to go with, because it made me feel good and it made me feel like very optimistic. And I think it's important for us to feel optimistic about the future and not pay attention to some of these things where it can look very dim and dismal. You know what I mean? Like, I think we have the power. And again, with Mastermind, we have the power to change our reality, because our mind is the most powerful tool, and the mind can do anything. And that includes changing our reality, because our reality number one, exist in the mind. So if we can master our minds and master ourselves, we'll be able to change our reality. So to me, it just was a powerful name, and I kind of stuck to it.
Nice. I love that. We're in just a minute. We're gonna actually take a break in a second, and then we're going to get into MasterMine U, so that we can, so that you guys can actually see what it is that he's doing, which is why we're here. One of the reasons why we're here, because I want you guys to be able to hear this and to see what he's doing. All right. So just give us a couple of minutes, because we're going to go to commercial, and we'll be right back.
This is the golden mic there by love.
Let's go. Sorry.
I love you, Jesus. I worship and adore you.
Ready and I'm ready. Yeah.
Come over here.
I'm here. You.
Everybody went on mic.
Are you interested in continuing your education, certificate, or degree that will prepare you in the ministry and equip you in the marketplace? Come make Christ Central University your home. Visit us at www.myccu.online.
All right. We are back. Thank you so much again for viewing, for coming in, for talking with us, for just taking the time on this Saturday. So those of you who are just tuning in, we are here with Pascal Jermaine, aka Mr. G, who is the founder of MasterMine University, and that's actually where we're going now. I want you to tell us about MasterMine U and what you're looking to accomplish.
So MasterMind University is kind of things that I learned about in just my own studies that I started implementing in school with my students and seeing the benefits of it. And it was, pretty much based on life skills, them learning about themselves, them learning about life, and then just giving them different, skills and other things to kind of add on to their toolbox. And I think as parents, specifically me, myself as a parent, we want our kids to grow into capable adults that are able to do things, and they can manage their finances. If they want to own a business, they can own a business. They can do these creative things. But when you look at the history of education was really never designed to create business workers and innovators and things like that. It was really designed to create workers. And I think there definitely is a space in society for workers, but I don't think that should be everybody's role, nor should it be a permanent role. I think that that's part of your process, but not all of it. And I think as parents, we want our kids to be more. We want our kids to be innovators, to be leading society, to be creating, to be doing all these things that other groups are doing. But our education doesn't really design for us to think like that. And I always wanted my kids to have that mind state. And when I started MasterMind, the podcast, I would ask some of my guests that were innovating and doing great things, like, yo, would you mind tutoring my kid, like, in this subject? And they would be like, yeah. And I'm like, interesting. So I know if I wanted it for my kids, I'm like, why not have it for everybody's kids? So I started coming together with other people and just asking, like, would you be down to teach a class about, your subject area? You have expertise in this, so why not teach it? And sometimes we think you need a teaching degree to be a teacher, but a lot of us are excellent teachers. And some of the best teachers that I've ever met had no teaching degree, and they were just excellent communicators and teachers. And in my view, everybody is a teacher, and parents are the number one teachers. They're the first teacher. So, everybody kind of agreed to being teachers. So it kind of excited me, and I started thinking more about where it can go. And so pretty much MasterMind University encompasses learning different subject areas that are not taught in school. So as I stated before, the self is a subject area that is often ignored, even at the college setting. And I think that's very important for us to learn and to really master. So I wanted to learn to really have kids study that. So part of what we do at MasterMind U is studying the self. So I'm going to be teaching self-development. I think it's important, obviously, for us to have financial literacy. A lot of Black people, are dying and not passing on finance money to their children and their families. and it's not because they don't want to, but a lot of times it's because they don't know. We're not spending money the way that we need to be spending, especially our kids. Some of us as parents are buying our kids $300-$400 jeans and all these fancy footwear and this and that and the third. And the where that money can go other than our clothing and things like that is we can build a whole nation off of the money that we spend. But I think that goes into financial literacy, and then solving those inferiority complex issues, because once you feel good about yourself, you be comfortable without wearing these fancy brands and stuff like that. So yeah, that was important. Obviously, business is super important. I think business is a route where we go into for self-empowerment and to create freedom and legacy. And I think we should at least know about it. Not everybody is going to be capable of being a business owner. It takes a lot, but we should know about it. So what we starting out with pretty much is self-development, business, and entrepreneurship, financial literacy, Black history, of course, because I mentioned before, of the inferiority and the low self-esteem. When you actually learn that, wait a minute, we did do these things. Wait a minute, we did fight. Wait a minute, we did create these things. Then you get a sense of self-confidence, a sense of high self-esteem. Like, if they did this, I can do this, and that's how I felt pretty much learning about Black history for the first time and diving into things. So I know that a lot of other young people feel like that. So that's important. Another component that we teach is job skills. A lot of our youth struggle for employment because they don't know how to construct a resume, and check their grammar and things like that. A lot of our youth struggle with their communication skills because no one has taught them how to communicate with people outside of their friend group and their family, and how conversations go, how body language goes, how to persuade people and things like that, which is involved in communication and just makes you just a better person and things like that. So those things are super important. Those are some of the things that we're going to be teaching at MasterMine University, but we're also going to expand on it as the years go. We plan on teaching political science. We plan on teaching advertising and marketing, technology, and a lot of other subjects that our students don't get a chance to really learn in depth about within the school system. And I think that this will create a different child once we're done with them. Hopefully by the high school age, they will have that self-mastery concept in them, hopefully.
Nice. I love that. What it sounds like is that what MasterMind U is teaching is how to be a whole human being from a young age, because a lot of times we, like you said, we don't get that in public schools. We don't get that, how to emotional intelligence. We don't get like the positive affirmations. We don't get the mindset of what is it that you actually want to do with your life, as you get older. Of course, yes, they do ask, what do you want to be when you grow up and things like that. But sometimes, just like you mentioned, entrepreneurship it's not for everybody, but some people really don't quite, have that concept, especially as a child. It's good for kids to be able to even have that as an option, because you think about it.
And I just want to add one thing too, like that, what you want to be when you grow up question. I think that it should be replaced with, what do you want to change and create when you grow up?
Ooh, I like that. What do you want to change and create when you grow up? That's a deep question. That is a deep question. And the reason why I say that is because when you I get it. When you ask somebody, what do you want to be when you grow up, that's just like, it's kind of surface level. It's very surface level, and most people are gonna, most kids are gonna go for the typical, I want to be, president, I want to be, a firefighter, I want to, you know what I'm saying? All of these other things. But if they think about what they want to change, or what, like that gives them the opportunity to really look around them and see, and be able to voice their own concerns, because kids have concerns, whether or not we realize it. They have opinions. They have concerns about things that are going on around them that they may not even be, not necessarily that they might not be aware of, is that sometimes they don't feel like they are allowed, I'll put it like that, to express, or they feel like they don't have the capability to do things about it. But if you ask them that question, what is it that you want to change? or what do you want to create that helps them, gives them the opportunity to know that, yeah, there's actually something that I can do about, how I feel, or do about something that I don't see is right. And we need that. I wish that was a question that was asked when I was younger, because again, like this whole thing with the school districts, being different, that's one thing that I would have mentioned or said something or try to do something about sooner, because that and that's part of what speaking plain English is about as of now. So this is my little, I guess, what would you do to change answer, to bring awareness to, to topics and things that so many people just don't want to talk about. Or they feel like, well, that's just how it is. There's nothing that we can do. There's always something that can be done. There's always something that can be done. So I'm really, really glad that that you guys are teaching them how to be a well-rounded person, because we don't get that. It's so important for and especially at a young age. That way they can take it with them as they get older. What is the age group that you guys teach? I'll ask you that.
Right now it's 13 to 18, but we're working on expanding that. Obviously, because we think that because we're starting it virtual, I think 13 to 18 is that sweet spot where kids can focus by themselves in front of a computer. But as we grow, we definitely want to expand that. We have curriculum for younger groups as well that we would like to infuse into MasterMine. So that's a goal going forward.
Nice. So what has your experience been like, kind of putting this all together? Like what's the process been?
The process has been pretty much for me, just these are all things that I've been studying for a while. If anybody knows me, like I'm always reading a book, I'm always looking at Black history, I'm always talking to elders, I'm always doing, things that kind of inspire me. I think life is supposed to be about passion and creating and really enjoying what it is that you do. So a lot of these things I've always been doing, and this was just an expansion into me doing it, and into making it, into a broader kind of thing, and having other people assist me along with doing it. And one of the things I realized though is that it has to be done within our own lens. And during the pandemic, I wanted to actually create something within a school, and the school kind of rejected it because they felt that that it was too judgmental and critical, and it was like they wanted to kind of have control over it. And what I realized is that one of my friends, he told me like, yo, you have to do this on your own. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need the school's help. You're already a teacher. You're already licensed. You already have done these things, and you create so much. Why not just do it on your own? So he actually gave me the confidence to be like, yo, you know what? Like, I don't really need a school to do some of the things that I want to do. Like, I can do it on my own and see, who comes with me along the way. So that kind of gave me the confidence to kind of start doing things outside of the school system. And it's been received very well. I think we want the same things. Black people have been complaining and protesting and speaking up about a lot of the things that go on in education and in life in general. We want to see change, and we want to do things differently. I think a lot of us don't know how to go about it. And again, a lot of us suffer from low self-esteem. So we never get into the idea of what can I do myself? Some of us don't think we're capable of doing things ourselves. And I think that's super important to really ask yourself that question, because a lot of us have expertise in different fields, and within our communities, there's doctors, there's lawyers, there's entrepreneurs, there's educators, there's everything, and if we all ask ourselves, what can we do to have an influence and impact on the community, then our community changes, and it can become so much better. So I think that's been kind of the process, really creating. I enjoy creating and coming up with different things. And I've always created my own curriculum. I've always created like my own lessons and things like that. I always experimented with my students and asked them what it is that they want to learn and talk about. So a lot of it has been just really experimentation and seeing how students get impacted by some of these things, and bringing my ideas to wherever school I'm working at, and then seeing that this works, I can do it on my own. So that's pretty much what the process has been. Obviously, people are going to be critical of the work that you're doing. That comes with the territory. But that self-mastery concept, if you really believe in yourself and what you're doing, there's nobody that can really stop you from doing what you want to do. So that's kind of like my philosophy.
I love it. One of the things that I am that you just keep bringing up, and that I've been hearing for quite a while, just in even in within myself and conversations with other people, is the concept of doing what it is, like spending your time doing what it is that you love, doing what it is that you're passionate about, working on your purpose. And I honestly believe that every human being that is placed on this earth, God has given us a gift, a talent, and a purpose for something. So when we actually tap into that, when we actually take the time to, to know what it is that we're passionate about and what we're here for, that actually that helps us to really understand what it is that we need to be doing. Like, for example, again, going back to the question, what is it that you would like to create, or what is it that you would like to change? Somebody who wants to change something or create something, it's kind of like it's something that's like a burden, I guess you can say, that's within them, or a fire that's within them, which they are placed here to do something about. And I have been, when I tell you lately, my conversation and my journey has been, if it has nothing to do with your purpose, if it has nothing to do with your, with your passion, leave it alone. Pass it on to somebody else who is capable, not just capable, but that's their purpose. Because yes, we have skills and things that we can do, different things that we can learn. But just like you were saying, when you were in school, the subject matter wasn't necessarily, it didn't keep your attention because it wasn't necessarily something that you felt like, would be pertaining to you. And to be perfectly honest, in some cases that is the case. Yes, education is definitely necessary. But sometimes there are certain things that need to be more specific and geared towards the person as a whole, geared toward being able to help them to think deeper, help them to be able to focus on how can I better myself, and how can I better my people? How can I better this community? Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to be a positive influence and a positive impact on, on our surroundings. At least that's what that my perception of life is. That's why we're here. We're here not to just take up space. We're here to do something and cultivate that space. It's even biblical that how there's a parable in the Bible where even somebody where they're talking about the talents being given to different people. So each person that was given was told to take this that I give you and do something with it, do something great with it. So the talents and the gifts that we have been given, that's what we should be even making careers out of, because the money will come once you start doing and working and operating in that and in your passion. You're going to be doing it in excellence because it's something that you enjoy. So you're willing to put more time. You're willing to do the studying that's involved. You're willing to to do the learning. You're willing to take the education. You're willing to practice. You're willing to do everything that it is that's involved in you doing and you cultivating and perfecting that craft and that passion and that goal. And then, like my dad always says, whatever you learn, teach somebody else. And that's why we're here. So that's why I'm really, really glad that you've started this, and that you didn't let having, not necessarily needing to have people with degrees. Like, okay, yes, so you have a degree, cool, wonderful. But at the end of the day, there are people who are excellent at doing things because they just know how to do it and they've done the work. Then, have them going to school with, and getting a degree. A degree is absolutely, I don't want to, because people that, are going to college, I commend y'all. And it's great that you are doing these things. But there's nothing like life's experience. There's nothing like life's experience. You look like you got something that you want to say.
Oh, I was just going to add on to your degree, because just, even talking to people a lot, people will be like, well, I don't really have a degree in this, so I don't have expertise in that. But sometimes they're actually doing the things that they say they don't have degrees doing and doing it very well. You don't need a degree to create change, and you don't need a degree to teach somebody something. And like I said, as parents, we are kids' first teachers and educators. So we've already been doing it. Everybody teaches, everybody learns, regardless of whether you have a teaching degree or not. So having a degree, we see this in other societies, right? Some of the most powerful businesses and creators and creatives didn't finish high school or college, so that really, a degree can definitely be useful. You can't be a doctor or a lawyer without a degree,
Right.
but you don't need a degree to have an impact and to change things in your community.
Exactly. Exactly. So one more question. Actually two. What's the next step for Mastermind University, and what actually is needed? What do you guys need in order to get to that point?
So that's a great question. So eventually we want to be, kind of an alternative education space. We don't want to replace education, public education, but alternative education. You have other cultures and societies that they might go to public school during the week, and then during the weekends or after school, they do other things that is based within their culture, and other learning modules that they do for the remainder of the school year, or even during the summer. So they have alternative schools. So we want to be kind of a cultural alternative school, to where our students are going to get what they need culturally, life like, and within themselves to go on to the next level. So we want to do that at the highest level that we can do it in. Another one of Mastermind's goals is to find people that represent Black excellence in their fields, and those that do, to be able and willing to teach. And we've been able to actually find those people, and they actually want to give back and teach. So our educator space is going to grow, so that we can provide students with what they need. One of the questions, shockingly, that I always get from students where I work at is, why are you still here? You know,
Mm.
you're such a good teacher. Like, why, do you stay here? Why are you teaching us? Why not be somewhere else? And, our kids don't think they deserve excellence. And I think that as we grow, we can be something that is going to be a norm for them, that this is what we should be getting. And you deserve excellent teachers. You deserve excellent educators. You deserve consistency. And these are the things that we need to really tell our kids and things like that. We also want to provide mentorship. We know that a lot of people become, what they want to be by having mentors and people that are already that. I mean, it's a formula that works. It's a formula that's been working for a long time that we kind of strayed away from, right? If you want to be a doctor, why not study under a doctor? If you want to be a lawyer, study under a lawyer. If you want to be an entrepreneur, study under. We know these things, but a lot of times in our communities, we don't do that. So another thing that we want to do is to be able to link our students with mentors and people that are already in these spaces that will provide them with opportunities and also education and an understanding of what it really takes to be these things. And I think that it'll increase their rate of success. We also want to, build something that will eventually become global, to where we can have students in, South Africa, students in other parts of the country, students in, anywhere, England, wherever, that will be able to take our courses and benefit from Mastermind University. So the plan is to grow it as much as we can and to really, again, build Black people. I think uh, I'm forgetting the name of the scholar. It's gonna come to me, but we have a scholar, somebody from Black history, that mentioned that it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men.
Mm.
And that is something that we really should be looking into, right? Like, why not really build strong children that will be the pillars of our community going forward, than to be spending our energy trying to repair people that are broken. And, obviously there's space for that, but all our energy shouldn't be going into that. We have kids that are the future of our society, that's still growing, still developing, and we need to be putting our energy into that. And that's what I believe in.
Hmm. I think so. Those who are watching, I want y'all to take heed to what's being said and think about if you or anybody that you know are willing, able, and capable of filling some of these slots. Because again, right now, it's like you said, it's virtual. And I love the idea of this being like an after school program type of situation for now. But listen, this, I can honestly, it's necessary. This is something that's needed, like you said, worldwide. Worldwide. I was about to say statewide, but worldwide. This is something like, because again, it breaks my heart to hear that you said that some of the students ask you, like, if you're doing such a great job, why are you spending that time on us? Because again, that shows that they don't believe that they deserve, like you said, they deserve greatness, and that needs to change. That needs to change. We need to let our kids know that you deserve the best of the best. Number one, not only do you can, so anything that, I didn't freeze. Anything that you are looking to do, oh man, it looks like my camera did what it did, but I hope y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
You can still hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Camera's fine. As long as you can hear me, it's all good. But what the kids need to understand and what they need to know is that they absolutely deserve the best. And we have to do something. And this is that's part of the self-development. That's part of the emotional intelligence. That's part of the affirmations. That's letting them know who you are. Oh, here we go. Who you are, and that you deserve the absolutely best. You deserve to, and on top of that, is not only do you deserve to have the best, but you are capable of also being best and being your best. So it hurts to hear that, that mindset and that mentality is that people feel like, oh, you're doing well. Why are you still here? Because that shows me that the people who are, that people who are successful and have become successful have done a pretty poor job with coming back. I'll put it like that, to our community. I really hope this isn't freezing. But coming back to show people that I made it. I made it out the hood per se, and you can do. Not only made it out the hood type of thing. What I want to see more of is, instead of just being I made it out the hood, how about we do things to change the hood? And part of doing that is changing the mentality of our kids and helping them to understand that, yes, there's more for you. Yes, there's better for you. You don't have to be what you think that everybody else wants you to think that you are. You don't have to. You're not inferior. Matter of fact, you're royalty. You are royalty, and we need to. We're responsible for showing our kids who exactly we are, because they're not gonna do it. They're not gonna do it. So at the end of the day, I want people to be able to, if you see yourself partnering with MasterMine U, if you see yourself doing something to assist, please reach out and give not give your input, but give whatever it is that that you can. Speaking of giving, the next part is, since we're about done, and again, I thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for being a light in our community and doing what you're doing. I really appreciate that. So as we close, what I would love for you to do is to kind of like leave a word of encouragement to our viewers who may see a need in their community and may not know exactly how to begin. And as you're talking, I'm going to put his information down. That's going to be scrolling across the screen. So those who are watching, you can, you can go follow him. You can go to his website and even send. One of the things that he did not mention that I was waiting for is funding. Funding is absolutely necessary. And so there's a Cash App there. There's also a GoFundMe that I will put in the comments after the show, because it won't be able to be, y'all won't be able to click on the link while it's scrolling across. But after the show is over, I'll put the link for the Cash App, not the Cash App, I'm sorry, the GoFundMe in the comments. So go for it, sir. What are some, closing remarks?
Yeah, so I think it's important for us to realize, because I think a lot of Black people romanticize with history and sometimes some of the great things that we did, but we are continuing to do great things, and you can do great things. So Huey P. Newton is no longer with us. Malcolm X is no longer with us. Rosa Parks is no longer with us. Fred Hampton is no longer with us. And the list goes on and on. Haitian, so Toussaint Louverture is no longer with us. Jean-Jacques Dessalines is no longer with us. The list goes on and on and on. But a lot of these people were just like you. They were human beings, and they had visions of our community being great, and they saw it to themselves to make it great and to do things. So just because they existed and they're no longer alive doesn't mean it just has to get washed away, and we can just admire them and not think about the key question is, what are we going to do to continue their legacy and to continue to create change? I don't think our ancestors did all the things that they did and sacrifice everything they sacrificed so we can just chill and just be comfortable. you know I want the world to continue to change, and I think as parents, we want that. We want to create a space where our kids are really actually not judged by the color of their skin but by their character, where that's a reality. And I think that, and we need to continue the legacy of a lot of our ancestors and continue to create change and continue to influence and everything, because they were people and we are people. We have the same energy, the same gifts, and we can continue to really expand our community and make it great. And as far as what you can do, like you mentioned before, everybody has a skill, everybody has a passion in something. So think about how you can use your skill, your passion, or whatever it is that you do to influence the most important concept and part of our society, which is the future, our children. All right. And those are the people that are going to become. So why not be a part of their becoming and influence them? I think every adult should have one kid, at least, that they're mentoring, one mentee, somebody that they're making sure is going along the right path and they're creating opportunities and things for. Other cultures do it. And I think these are the things that we really need to spend our time thinking about and doing. And I think everybody is capable of doing something. All right. Doing something is better than doing nothing. And everybody has the ability to do something. So that's one thing I would leave everybody with. And then what I leave off with for, all my things that I do is our ethos for MasterMine, which is your mind is the most powerful tool in the universe. If you can think it, you can do it. If you believe in it, you can be it. And if you fight for it, you can have it. The world is yours. And I think that's what we should all thinking about.
I love it. I love it. So you guys, let's do what we do and make this thing. I mean, it's already happening, but let's make it as great as it can be, and it will be. I perceive this going, so far, and that, like you said, the vision and the goal that you have for it being worldwide. It's not, again, it's necessary, and it's going to take us to do it. And I believe we can. Thank you guys so much. I'm sorry for the technical issues. But whatever the case may be, we got it done. We're here. You guys were able to see and and hear exactly what this mission is about. I'm not surprised at all that we're having technical issues, because you already know what happens when great things transpire. So at the end of the day, we're here. You guys are here, and I appreciate you again, Mr. G, for speaking to us today and for all that you're doing. And until next time, folks, this has been another episode of Speaking Plain English. Bye-bye.